The hoofbeats were light, but the dust they kicked up curled thick and gold in the dying sun. Silas Ox McGraw squinted into the glare, hand resting heavy on the pitchfork. 3 figures walked straight through the gate he never locked, past the fence he hadn't mended in 5 years. Girls. Young, travel-worn, sunburnt. One limped. One looked back over her shoulder more than she looked ahead. They stopped 10 feet from him. The tallest, a redhead with freckles smeared under dirt, raised a hand. "You got cows." Silas didn't answer. He chewed once, slow, and looked from girl to girl, then down to the rusted pail at her feet. "We can milk," she said. "Cook, clean. You got a barn. You need hands." He said nothing. The wind said plenty. A hawk screamed somewhere up past the cottonwoods. The smallest girl stepped forward. "Please, just a place to sleep." Silas's jaw flexed once. His eyes caught the edge of something, a torn strip of lace on one girl's dress. It didn't belong out here. Didn't belong with worn boots and trembling hands. "What's your name?" he asked. "Emmy," the freckled one said. "Emmy Boone." The pitchfork dropped. It landed in the dirt with a thud that sounded like thunder across the dry pins. Silas turned without a word and walked toward the barn. The girls followed like shadows. Inside, the stench of old hay and leather greeted them. Silas threw a blanket down on a haystack and nodded once. "You can stay the night." "That's it." The one called Emmy looked him up and down. "Ain't nobody else around?" He paused. "Ain't been in 17 years. 17 years, and you still got milk cows." "I got things that need doing." "You alone out here?" she asked. Silas turned. His eyes, like blue iron, locked on her. "Ain't always been." The second girl coughed. The third winced as she sat. Her boot fell off. Her ankle was swollen and red. "Something chasing you?" Silas asked. Silence. "No," Emmy said. "Too fast." He stared. She held his gaze. The silence cracked with the creak of old wood as he leaned against the stall. "You want work?" he said. "Milk at dawn. Don't touch the roan horse. She don't like strangers." Then he left them there with the dust and the warm smell of cattle. Outside, the sun finally dipped, lighting the ridgeline in blood-orange fire. 3 riders paused in the distance, still as fence posts, just silhouettes against the dusk. Silas saw them. He didn't move, just reached down, tugged an old nail from the post, and closed the barn door behind him. "Click, don't go out past the fence at night," Silas said without turning. His voice came from the shadows of the porch, low and flat. Emmy froze mid-step, the lantern in her hand swaying. Behind her, the other 2 girls stiffened near the barn. "I was just getting water," she said. He took a slow drag from the roll-up between his fingers, the tip glowing like a red eye. "Ain't water waiting out there. Only trouble." That's when they saw it, on the ridge, same spot as before. 3 riders again, watching, not moving, just part of the dusk. Silas stood. The porch creaked under his weight. "They follow you?" None of the girls answered. "They ain't law," he said. One of the girls whispered, "Worse." Emmy stepped forward. "We didn't steal nothing. Just saw something we shouldn't have." Silas stared at the ridgeline a long while, then turned and walked into the barn without another word. Emmy followed, clutching the lantern. She passed a roan horse and a row of half-busted saddles. Silas was near the hayloft, tossing feed with mechanical rhythm. "You knew my name," she said. He kept working. "Back when I told it. You dropped your pitchfork like it bit you." He didn't look at her. "My daddy was Boone. Joe Boone. Rode with the U.S. Marshals, but they say he ran guns after." Silas stopped. "I never knew him," she said. "Mama wouldn't say nothing. Just told me if I ever got in real trouble, find a man named McGraw." The lantern flickered. His shadow loomed big and still. "You're Silas McGraw," she said. "Ain't you?" He turned. "That name's dead. But it was you. You don't know what you're saying, girl. I know you were Marshal. I know you rode against the Fisk gang. I know." He slammed the shovel into the dirt hard enough to startle the horses. Dust rose. "Look where that got me," he said. Behind her, the other 2 girls were rooting through the hay, trying to make a place to sleep. A hard thunk broke the moment. One of them had kicked something under the straw. A trunk. Iron latches. Heavy. Emmy set the lantern down and opened it slowly. Inside, a folded badge, dull and blackened. A leather duster coat. a pair of old spurs, and under it all, a Colt peacemaker wrapped in oilcloth. God, one of the girls breathed. You were a legend, Emmy said. Silas's voice came low from behind them. Legends don't bury 6 friends in one day. They all turned. He stood there, the badge in one hand, looking at it like it was a scar. And legends don't come back, he said. So you best pray I stay dead. The fire snapped as Emmy threw another branch in. They're coming, she said, staring into the flames. Could feel it before we even saw him. Men like Harlan Fisk don't let things walk away. The smallest girl, Clara, kept her knees pulled up to her chest. We should run. No place to run, Silas said from the shadows. Not from a man who owned sheriffs. He stood at the edge of the light, the Colt in his hand for the first time in 17 years. It looked too natural in his grip, too familiar. Emmy turned. Then what do we do? Silas walked to the porch and dropped the revolver on the table. Its sound cracked the quiet like a bone. We finish it. The wind shifted. Coyotes yipped in the distance. The air smelled of smoke, leather, and fear. You gonna fight them? Clara asked. Already fought him once, Silas said. Didn't finish the job. Emmy stepped forward. You said you buried your friends. You can't bury your name. Silas didn't answer. Just picked up the duster coat from the trunk, held it like an old flag, and swung it over his shoulders. The badge clinked faintly inside the pocket. In the barn, he pulled tools from forgotten places. Horseshoes turned to caltrops, rusted nails pounded into plank traps, barrels rolled to cover the fence lines. The girls helped, silent, focused. He handed Emmy a rifle. You shoot. She nodded. Top loft. One shot, then drop. They'll look that way. He turned to Clara. You run messages. Don't stop moving. Not once. And the third girl, May, who hadn't spoken much, he placed the lantern in her hands. You light the fire pit when I say. Bright. All at once. Blind their eyes. She swallowed. You trust us to help? Silas stared at her. Trust you more than the last 6 marshals I knew. Thunder echoed. Not from the sky, but from hoofbeats. Dust rose along the ridge. 10 riders. No hurry. Confident. Emmy looked at him. You sure about this? He buckled the gun belt tight. You asked to milk my cows. Now you're part of the herd. The girls laughed, short and nervous. Silas didn't. He stepped out past the fence line, coat flapping like wings, boots kicking up powder. The night was quiet except for the low creak of saddles approaching. One of the riders shouted, This here's Harlan Fisk's business. Give us the girls, and we'll leave you breathing. Silas said nothing. He stared at the horizon, eyes narrowed, hand loose near the Colt. He whispered something only the wind heard. And then he said louder, clear and cold, You boys picked the wrong dead man to come looking for. Then he turned and walked into the dark. The first shot cracked just as the rooster screamed. Smoke lifted from the loft window, where Emmy ducked back, rifle still warm. One rider slumped from his horse, thudding into dust. The others fanned out in confusion, yelling and cursing, their horses kicking up chaos. Silas stepped from the barn like a bear from hibernation, slow, massive, unbothered. His duster moved like a black flag in the dawn wind, the Colt steady in his grip. A voice shouted. Harlan Fisk rode front and center, gold chains on his chest catching the morning sun. You got no idea who you're protecting. Those girls are mine. Silas didn't blink. You should have stayed on your side of the ridge. Fisk spat. You got 2 seconds to drop that gun, old man. Already dropped too much, Silas said. Then the Colt barked. One shot, clean. The rider beside Fisk jerked back off his saddle, arms flailing like a scarecrow. Gunfire exploded. Dust turned to smoke. The roan horse shrieked and bolted from the paddock. The girls kept low. Emmy firing again, Clara sprinting through the corral with messages and ammo, lighting the fire pit with a match that hissed against oil-soaked cloth. Flames roared, blinding half the riders. Silas moved through smoke like a wraith, reloading without looking, putting men down with the precision of old memory. He didn't yell, didn't curse, didn't miss. When the gun jammed, a dry click in the heat, Silas didn't hesitate. He charged. Fisk dismounted, pulling a silver-plated revolver from his holster. But the giant hit him like a falling tree. They tumbled into dirt, fists flying. Fisk landed a shot to Silas's ribs, didn't matter. Silas caught his arm and broke it with a crack that echoed across the fields. You think this land is yours? Fisk gasped, face twisted. You think justice matters out here? Silas drove a fist into Fisk's gut, then gripped his collar and hauled him up. This ain't about justice, he said. This is about ending things. He threw Fisk into the barn wall hard enough to splinter timber. By the time the last rider turned tail and galloped into the hills, the ranch was silent again. Scorched earth, brass shell casings, blood soaking dry soil. Silas stood, breath heaving, coat torn. Emmy approached slowly, rifle lowered. It's done. He looked at her, sweat streaking the dust on his face. You sure? He asked. She nodded. A moment passed. Then Silas walked to the porch, sat heavy in the chair, and stared at the morning sky like a man who didn't believe it was real. The sheriff rode in an hour later, jaw dropped at the scene. What the hell happened here? He asked. Emmy met his gaze. Not much, she said. Just a rancher remembering who he was.